makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part.
There is one type of Schadenfreude that I absolutely enjoy. It is anything related to Facebook, or Mark Zuckerberg, or Meta, if you want to call it that way. And the latest is their absolutely abysmal fourth quarter results, which sent the stock price of Meta absolutely tumbling. They lost approximately 200 billion in stock market capitalization, which is insane. So it was kind of like 20% of its stock value. Uh, and well, the numbers there's two sides to this story of why it's happening the way it is, and so quickly. The first is the actual popularity of Facebook itself, which obviously is the main component of all the different Meta brands. But the one aspect of this that I think spooked a lot of investors was the fact that there was a drop to it seems minor. There was a drop in daily users from 1.93 billion the previous quarter to 1.929 billion. So 1 million less people. Now, that doesn't sound like much in the grander scheme of things, but it is the first quarter since Facebook has existed where it has had less users than before. So it is quite symbolic. It has never lost users. Now, this is this is crazy for another reason. These are just data of billion active daily users. So if you log on to Facebook and just sort of check it for 2, 3 minutes, see if you got any messages or whatever, that counts as a daily use, right? It isn't quantifying the absolutely enormous decline in overall activity that, at least in my circle of Facebook friends, I would say that activity, like in terms of, how many times people post a day, how many photos, etc., just, the conversations people are having, the amount of messages they're receiving. I barely get any Facebook messages anymore. Most people have migrated to WhatsApp. Um, aside from that, like, I would say that easily, and I don't know if this is the experience of everyone. I would love to hear some comments from people who have been active on Facebook in recent years. But I would say that activity in my Facebook circle of friends is about 20% of what it was a year and a half ago, like pre-pandemic. And you would think that the pandemic would have made more people engage from Facebook. So it's even more shocking that despite lockdowns, despite the decline of like real life social interactions, engagement through Facebook has just fallen. Like, my Facebook circle is just dead compared to a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. Yeah, 20%, I would say, maybe even less, maybe even less. And I have a lot of friends who just either have quit Facebook altogether or haven't posted in ages. Maybe they just pop up during their birthday to say thank you for everyone else who's replying in like dead profile walls. Yeah, it's a dying brand. Um, a lot of it definitely has to do with, as this article mentions, and as Facebook itself admits, that there is competition across other apps and they mention TikTok as being probably their main rival. Uh, but yeah, it's stunning to see this, and I think if they had showed the data on some other metric for engagement in Facebook aside from daily users, oh my God, this would have been even more catastrophic, way more catastrophic. They do have data on this. Obviously, they're not going to share it. They're going to just share the most, how shall I say, gracious metric, which I think is the daily users. But yeah, Facebook activity has been going down quite a lot. And I don't think anything that they can do will make it go back up because people are just getting bored with it. People uh, don't see it as this exciting new technology, new medium or new platform, whatever you want to call it. I think privacy concerns have really affected it as well. And they have mentioned as well that Apple's new privacy standards on iPhones has also hurt it because they can't track people the way that they could before. And I definitely think uh, Google should also do the same. But then again, Google does the exact same thing as Facebook does. So anyway, the other aspect is the metaverse. So Facebook is basically betting everything it has on the metaverse. And I made a video on this before when Mark Zuckerberg made that ridiculous video promoting the change in company name to Meta and having this just ludicrous sort of preview of what the metaverse would look like. I'll be honest, and I said it in that previous video, the metaverse is going to be a complete flop, an absolute complete flop. You might generate some buzz around it when it starts to kind of get up and running, but come on. No, like you have to have some serious issues with basic social interaction to believe that most people are going to spend hours of their day locked up in a virtual reality universe when they can do all those things with other people. That's a fact. Um, the good thing, I think what makes things like Facebook or made it more popular was because you could be on Facebook while you're doing something else, sort of not, no one's ever on Facebook just paying attention to Facebook. You're doing other things, you're in a bus and you're checking Facebook on your phone, or you're doing some work and you have Facebook on the side. That's what people do. The metaverse involves a degree of immersion and interaction that I think most people aren't willing to have for hours on end, aside from a small number of tech geeks and socially awkward individuals. And I think that is the fundamental problem. Mark Zuckerberg, who clearly does not have basic human interaction skills, someone who, and this is one of the funniest things that I've heard, is Mark Zuckerberg is the only human being who could fail the Turing test. Uh, he thinks that's what people want, but that's not what people want. And there's no one in Facebook who will dare tell him. And if they dare tell him, he's not going to listen anyway. Because in a company, owners and CEOs are kings. Companies are not democratic. And you can have the most brilliant minds in the world working for Facebook. All of that is for naught if the guy on top, the guy who makes the decisions, is so hell-bent on his failed vision of the company that he will refuse to listen to anyone else. So hubris is ultimately what is going to bring Facebook down. And I think we're now at the point where, if you had to bet on Facebook succeeding or failing in the long run, I would bet on it failing. And I've said it again, I said it in the previous video, and I've said it numerous other occasions. I think if the first tech giant to fall will be Facebook, because it has the most fragile business model out there, and it has the core idea that is most vulnerable to disruption. And I hate using the word disruption because all these tech idiots use it. But the fact is, these kinds of technologies have an element of fads in them, and they don't remain popular forever. And companies that manage to recognize that these fads are fading and move into something else are the ones that are going to survive a bit longer. But yeah, Facebook, every other tech company has some core business model that is so much more solid. You don't see Amazon collapsing anytime soon, unless, the US actually gets its antitrust impulses in action. Apple builds things, you know, solid things that people use. I'm not a fan of Apple, but, you know, I recognize that they're actually producing things that are some people find useful. And Google, well, has, you know, plenty of other things that, you know, we will need web browsers for a while. We will need search engines. But Facebook just yeah, I would not bet on Facebook in the long run. I just wouldn't bet on it. So, is this the beginning of the end? Yeah, I definitely I think the beginning of the end was that really stupid Metaverse video that they did a couple of months ago. I think from that point onwards, Facebook is fading into irrelevance, and not a day passes when you know, the one time that I log on Facebook every day, that I don't think I should just quit. And the only reason that I haven't quit is probably because I've lived in a lot of countries over my life. I have a lot of friends in those countries, and I would, you know, a part of me doesn't want to lose track of all those people, because I don't think I'd be in contact with them anywhere else. And that's really the only thing that keeps me from not quitting Facebook. But I probably would have quit in the last couple of months. So yeah, there we go. Sad news for Facebook, good news for everyone else. And on that note, if you like this video, please like, please share. Most importantly, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.